Hi guys, it's Lara. Thanks for watching and welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna be making seitan together. So until recently I used to buy seitan in its final form, so basically a few pieces packed, and all I had to do was to chop them into strips and cook them any way I wanted to. But A, I always found that very expensive. It costs definitely more than tofu, and B, I actually did not really like the consistency of the seitan I can get close by, because I found it kind of squeaky, and I always like the consistency of tofu way better, so I stopped buying that. But it is true that seitan is very high in protein, and if you, like me and Jack, are exercising a lot, it is definitely beneficial. And I like switching things up a little bit so that we don't eat always the same stuff. So for a while I've been walking around a product that I have seen in our drugstore, which was the seitan bases, or like seitan mix, that you only need to mix with water. And then I read the directions, and I have seen that you have to cook it first, and I thought, like, hold on, nah, that's too much effort, so I never bought it. But anytime I was in our drugstore, I kept seeing the product, and I thought about it for a while, and I thought, you know what, if I would make always a bigger batch, then it would be totally worth the effort. So I finally gave it a try, and I was extremely pleasantly surprised. I really like it, so I thought I should show you how I make the seitan and what seasoning I'm using. So if that's something you're interested in, then please keep watching. Alright, so here I have the seitan mix that I'm gonna use. It does not have to be necessarily this brand. This is just a brand that's available in our drugstore. But I already looked on the internet and I found various other brands that produce pretty much the same thing. So that's the one I'm gonna be using. We have to mix this in ratio 1:1 with water and form it into a mass first. And I personally find that it's great to season it at least a little bit before I add the water. So I have here a herbal salt with mushrooms, which is one of my favorite herbal salts. Then I have here smoked paprika and a garlic powder. So I'm gonna put 1 cup of the seitan into my glass dish, and then I'll add the spices. So for this amount, I will add about 1 teaspoon or maybe 1.5 teaspoons of the mushroom salt. Then I'm gonna add half a teaspoon of smoked paprika and about 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And now I'm going to stir the dry ingredients. If you want, you can also add a little bit of pepper. You could also add onion powder, or I don't know what, maybe a little bit of cumin. And now I will add 1 cup of water, and I'm gonna stir this nicely, and you will see that it starts thickening pretty quickly. So I'm gonna take it out, and I'm simply going to knead it a little bit. And now you can form it into any shape you want. I personally like flattening it a little bit, and then I'm simply going to take a knife and I'm gonna chop it into strips. That's my personal favorite form. And when you look at it, you can already tell that it has this stringy texture. It looks a little bit similar like meat, only it's definitely softer. The next step is going to be to cook the seitan first. So I have here a pot with water, and I'm going to add about half a tablespoon of vegetable stock. Of of course, a vegan vegetable stock. So I'm gonna stir it in, and I will let the vegetable stock boil, and then I'm going to add the seitan strips. The stock is gonna be boiling in a minute. In the meantime, I also started cooking basmati rice. One thing I did not consider was that the way I put the strips into the glass dish, that they would stick together. So I had to tear them apart, and I recommend laying the strips out on a tray or a big plate so that they can spread out and that they wouldn't stick together just like they did in my case. Cook the strips for about 15 to 20 minutes according to the directions on the packaging. Then I strained them. I kept part of the vegetable stock for the sauce. And I squeezed the strips out as good as I could so that I would get out as much of the liquid as possible. Then I prepared a marinade of the veggie stock with spices. Recipe is in the video description. I made sure all strips were well coated with the marinade, and I let them marinate for about 10 minutes. During that time, I chopped carrots, mushrooms, and onions. I poured about 2 tablespoons canola oil into a preheated non-sticky pan. I threw in chopped onions and the seitan strips, and I roasted them sharply on all sides. Next, I added the mushrooms and carrots and tossed all for a bit. So basically I cooked it as a stir fry. I have a similar stir fry recipe for a peanut butter stir fry, so I will link it down below and also here in the right corner. I poured in a bit of the vegetable stock, and later I thickened the sauce with cornstarch dissolved in a small amount of water. And then my seitan stir fry was done. I served it with basmati rice and topped it with chopped scallions. So this is how I make our seitan, and that was one of the ways how I like preparing it. We really like it, and it has been in the past few weeks our go-to meal basically. The texture of the seitan that I make is a little bit softer than the texture of the typical mock meat that you would find in store, and I'm not sure if it's this particular basis or if it's just because I suck in preparing it. So maybe I have to squeeze it out a little bit more, so I have to try a few things and I'll see if it's gonna make any difference, and maybe I'll also try some different brands. And now about a few benefits, or at least for me. So this baggie contains 250 grams, but you'll get about 500 grams of seitan of it for less than €2. So it's definitely less expensive than the finished products that you will get in the grocery store. And it's also less packaging because it's just this one baggie versus a lot of plastic for the finished seitan that you normally get. Another thing is also this lasts very long. So the expiration date of this bag is December 2020. So this is gonna last for at least a year. So this is also great. And you can season it the way you want to. And it's a great source of protein. So I think this is going to be basically one of our pantry staples. And I think I'm definitely gonna bring a few of these bags to Croatia next year, because it just takes way less space and it's just so much easier because I don't have to store this in the fridge. So and that's gonna be it for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. You can let me know in the comments, do you make your own seitan? Do you eat seitan? I don't know, everything what you have to say about seitan. So thank you all so much for watching. I love you guys so much and see you all tomorrow. Bye!